You are listening to The Michael Lodge Show. Wealth, business, and taxes. Oh yeah, and some politics. Let's get started.
Good morning, or evening, wherever you may be listening to this podcast. I know I'm listened to all over this world. I love you guys all over the world, by the way, for taking the time just to listen. I greatly appreciate it. So, listen, what's happening with the dog? Well, the dog is getting healthier, walking around now. Scared me a little bit because I tell you, when you see a dog so sick, you become a little bit worried because you're not quite sure exactly which direction that they're going to go. So you try to keep them as healthy and lively as possible. So the dog's just sitting there resting, taking her own time to heal, which is good. Listen, I can't believe this. I can't believe this at all because here we are, I'm recording this on November 17. Can you believe that next week is Thanksgiving, and the day after Thanksgiving, what is that? Black Friday? The most evil day of the year? That's why I lock my doors, I shut my windows, and I don't venture out at all on Black Friday. It's not Good Friday, it's Black Friday, the day that you go out and spend a whole bunch of money that you're not supposed to be spending. But listen, there's some good deals out there, and I understand it. It's just that I don't need any of that stuff that everybody's promoting. I've come to a habit of mine, and and I kind of like it because it makes me put some thought into the gift that I'm buying. And several years ago I decided, I'm no longer going to give any kind of gadgets or that sort of stuff. So what I decided to do is start giving out books. And so I try to match the personality with a book. There were individuals that are very romantic, very, they just love to think about imaginary things. So I buy books in that genre for them. So, and then there are other people that love religious books and spirituality books. And there are tons of books out there to share. And they're good books. I don't go to Oprah Winfrey's book club. I forget about that because I don't know what she's trying to promote. But I try to research the book and read a few chapters of the book online before I choose that book to give. And then I start buying and sending them out. Now, if you were to go into my house right now, that used to be my office, before the pandemic, I used to hold mediation sessions here. And my living room was a good place for family mediation, and my dining room was a good place for business mediation. And there was a place that they could go in and get coffee and snacks and whatever else they needed. You hear, if you hear while I'm talking, I put the mute button on because all of a sudden I'm getting these cough fits, and I don't know why that's happening. One, my nose is running, and I know that it's hay fever and stuff like that, so I'm trying to fight that off. So anyway, back to the books. So if you were to go into my living room, if you look at my coffee table, it's filled with books, all kinds of books. I've got books that people have given me and that I've purchased, and also books that I've written. I've got 3 books sitting out there. You'll also go over and look at my desk in my living room that houses a lot more books. You'll see that there's books on photography and art. There's books on business. There's my 3 books sitting there. There's books on history. There's books on Nelson Mandela. There's all kinds of books. I even have a book which I really love to read. Excuse me. I love to read the book. There's one book that was given to me by an employee. Because I told her she's Chinese, and I said, listen, what I'm looking for is Mao Zedong's book. I want that. It should be a collector's. Everybody had that little red book that they all carried around. I wanted a copy of that book. But she couldn't find it, so she gave me another book, and it was on the way that Chinese propaganda. And it explains every single thing of how Chinese use propaganda to control their people. And it's a thick book. It must be at least 2 inches thick. And that's how much propaganda was going on, especially when Mao Zedong was coming up and all of these communist leaders were going. But I love those kinds of books because you learn so much. And I tell you, when you learn, what do? You become more fascinated with what's happening around you. The more you read, the more that you learn, the better informed that you are. And don't read Oprah Winfrey's Books Club. I'm not quite sure exactly what she's promoting there all the time. You know, she has her own little political agenda and woman stuff. And I find a lot of it not really in my category of what I want to read. I want to read about business and politics, and I want to learn about international affairs, and so I continue reading. I continue reading all this stuff. So anyway, back to my gift giving. So that has been my practice for the last probably 4 or 5 years, is giving books as a gift, matching the personality with the book. It's a wonderful experience. Try it. People need to read more. Now, getting to the subject matter of what I want to talk about. Today, no politics. I'm not talking about any politics. Today, we're talking about pure business. Now, a lot of you own businesses. And I congratulate you. I pat you on the back. I'm proud of you. Because in this day and age under COVID, we're in survival mode. We are surviving every single day because we're never quite sure what's going to happen next with lockdowns and threats of lockdowns. And oh, by the way, they're no longer calling it a lockdown. They're calling it a freeze. The Oregon governor decided to call it a freeze. And I just bent my own rule today that I'm talking about politics. Well, forget about that. So if you own a business, you have some responsibilities. This is the middle end part of November. We have December. How many of you have sat down and put together your goals and objectives for 2021? Now, even just pretend and form your goals this next year as if you're in a pandemic, because pandemics are going to come and go throughout the whole 2021. Okay? So, when you're putting together your business plan, how are you going to survive during those shutdowns or lockdowns or freezes? Freezes are fine. I love cool weather. But listen, we've got to plan as if we are struggling again for 2021 and maybe even the next year and the next year. So let me refresh your memory of what happened during the Obama administration. I sat on 2 boards. I sat on Los Angeles Chamber of Commerce, and I sat in on Orlando, Florida Chamber of Commerce when Obama was president. The common theme of conversation at that time was businesses on hold. And it was true. All of us businesses were on hold. We were not buying any capital items. We're not buying machinery or cars or adding new people to the employment roles. We stopped. We were freezing because we didn't know what was going to happen. There was a whole bunch of mandates that Obama was trying to put through, like a minimum wage on people working overtime that was salaried. There were a whole bunch of different things, but we didn't know exactly what was coming down. There was the Obamacare mandate and all that other stuff that was happening. So the common theme during those 8 years, and it was 8 years, businesses, small businesses like you and me, we put our businesses on hold. We became very conservative because we didn't know what was going on. And so I want to tell you right now, since Biden has become the so-called president-elect, capital is beginning to move out of Wall Street. It's leaving fast. The cash is leaving fast. Corporations are being set up in a whole bunch of lower tax free zones that are more beneficial to business. They're going to Ireland. They're going to all kinds of different places. Because under Biden tax rules that he wants to implement, he wants to raise the corporate rates. So this also happened during Obama administration. So when the tax rates go up, and the cost of doing business in the United States goes up, people look for other alternatives. And that's what's going on right now. They know what's coming down, so capital is leaving Wall Street at the moment. And that is a bad sign because that means jobs will go too. Think about this. Every corporation out there that is stock driven has to meet certain goals and expectations financially for their investors. That's just how it works. So senior members of management and the board of directors are always looking at ways to satisfy the investors in their company. And that is called capitalism, and there's nothing wrong with it whatsoever. Each of us, even in our small businesses, we try to do things that is going to benefit our small business. We do it every single day. We make certain decisions every single day that we're trying to benefit our businesses. That's capitalism, okay? And it works very well. It has always worked well, and it will continue to work well. So get that socialist nonsense out of your mind. Capitalism is what creates jobs. But when they get scared and when they get concerned about what's going to happen and what they see is going to happen tax-wise and red tape-wise and government intervention and everything else, they become scared and they escape. So capital leaves Wall Street. Businesses start looking for overseas expansion. That's just the way it is. So instead of incentivizing business in the United States by lower taxes, when people raise taxes, that hurts the economy, every single one of us. Now, think about this. Now, they want to raise trillions of dollars, right? They could raise trillions of dollars of keeping the tax rate as it is right now, let businesses expand, let them grow, let businesses create more cash revenue, which creates more taxes, sales and use taxes, property taxes from expansion. It helps the government if you keep the tax rates lower. Raise the tax rates and people escape from a country that is overtaxed. It's just common sense. So that's what's going on at the moment. It's a concerning issue that with capital leaving the United States, jobs are going to leave within the first or second year of the new presidency. So we have to be very concerned about that. So that means that you and I, we're going to have to operate our businesses very conservatively. I want you to sit down today, get a journal book, go down to Home Depot, get a journal book, start writing what your goals and objectives are today. Identify how much cash that you need to generate, what areas of your expense items that you can eliminate or lower, and come out to where you project where your bottom line should be. And then decide what are you going to do within your business to generate more revenue, but yet keep the expenses at the same or lower. Okay? You have to act very conservatively. I mean, we're not talking about political conservatism. We're talking about financial conservatism. Totally different thing. Put the politics out of your mind. I know that some of you hate the word conservative, but forget about it. When you're talking about business, you have to think about how conservative are you going to operate your business because you don't know what's going to happen tax-wise. Now, a lot of Trump stuff goes out of effect, I think it's in 2025 or 2024 or 2025. I can't remember, one of those 2 years. So we have a little bit of time, unless Democrats get control of both the Senate and the Congress, we have a little bit of time that the Senate can block any type of raising of taxes under the Republican rule before the time ends on the Trump tax thing that he did in 2018. So, get your journal, begin to write. I want you take into consideration all the individuals that work for you. Who has value? Who adds value to your company? Don't think about if you like them or not. Forget that. It's who adds value to your company. Who brings in revenue? Who keeps the company in check? Who monitors the expenses and the outlay of money? Who is producing more work for your company than anybody else? Then look at the people that are not adding value to your company. Remember, this is the age where every individual that is employed with you and that you're going to hire has to add value to your company. And then you have to ask yourself, what kind of value are you adding to the company? What kind of a leader are you? And how are you going to lead through this time where we'll have a little bit of uncertainty of what's going to happen? Remember, when a company goes into a crisis mode, you act very responsibly. You plan what you're going to say. You plan what your story is going to be. Everyone is on the same page and they know that story. So that comes to the next step. Once you have identified what you need to do in 2021, you have got to relay that message onto your employees. Very important. If your employees don't know in which direction that they're going and what their roles are, because you're going to change some of those roles based on value, if they don't know where they're going, then you're just going to sit there and circle around and around and around, and you're not going to get anywhere. So I really want you, over the next few days and on the weekend, go and get a cup of coffee with your journal, sit down, and start planning. When you put things down on paper, you're committed to it. And you can change it along the way of what you need to change. Because every single month for 2021, you are going to be changing and you are going to be adapting and you are going to be able to focus on what needs to happen throughout 2021. Put it in writing. Don't sit down and put it on your computer. Forget it. Take a piece of pencil. Well, not a piece, but just take a whole pencil. Open up your journal and begin to write what those goals and objectives are going to be, what your financial model is going to be, and start working on it. Then sit down with your closest advisors and begin talking it through. And then finally get that message out there to your employees of what 2021 is going to be. Okay? Now, the other issue is what happens at the end of the year is tax time. Now, I don't know how many of you people have started calling your accountants and saying, listen, this is where we are at the moment. What do we need to do to minimize our tax liability? You need to start planning. You need to start having those conversations right now with your tax people. And if you're not satisfied with your tax person, find another one. Get a referral to another person that knows what they're doing and saying and knows how to communicate it. I was really impressed. The other day I was doing a 60-minute consultation. And the individual on the other side was telling me what her CPA was telling them to do. I said, you know what? She's telling you exactly the right thing to do. Just do it. Because it's very seldom that an accountant is going to be that blunt with you. So listen to what they're saying. Because they're giving you good advice. Now, you can tweak it a little bit if you want to. And if you want to get a second opinion, get a second opinion. But make sure that you're paying attention to what your taxes are at this moment. So I'm telling you right now, print out your financial statements, your income statement and balance sheet. Send them over to your accountant and say, listen, this is where we stand at the moment. What do we need to do? What do we need to do to make a good tax decision for 2020 tax season? Now, businesses have a lot of responsibility, but sometimes you've got to stop and focus on the financial side. I know a lot of you are really good. When I first started my business, my motto was, You focus on what you're good at, and I'll focus what you're not good at. Okay? If you're not good at your financial side, I'll help you with that. That was in the very beginning, that was my motto to all of my clients, and it worked well. So if you're not good at something, get somebody involved that is. Get somebody that can advise you and tell you in which direction that you need to be considering. Find a good tax accountant. That's what's so important. So this is the end of the year. 2020 is just about done. It's time that you begin focusing on your planning. Get your journals out and start planning. Start communicating and start talking to your tax people for the end of year 2020. Okay? It's vital. Come on. Don't wait until the very last minute and then say, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? The sky is falling. No, forget about it. Know what to do now. You have a few more days until the end of the year. So get to it. Normally I would have given this speech a long time ago. In fact, I give it to everybody. I give it to my podcast every single year. I start in about August, September, to start giving this, because it takes 3 months of good planning if you're really going to be a good leader. But politics, the election, Biden, Trump, everything came on, and I began doing podcasts on the election because I saw things that I didn't like. Okay, so I got involved in the politics. You heard the intro that I talk about wealth, business, and taxes, but sometimes I talk about politics, and this was an election year, so I talked about politics. But now is the time that you as a business person should begin planning for 2020 and 2021. I really encourage you. If you need help, if you need a 60-minute talk through, you can arrange it with me, because I provide a 60-minute consultation to everybody, okay? And you can go to my website. On my website, I'll tell you where it's at. Let me go to my website right now, and I'll tell you where it's at on my website that you can... There's a tab there. Just one second. Let me do it. Lodge-co.com. So if you go to the top tabs, right in the middle, it says 60-minute business advice, and it's $65. But we go through anything. I'll talk about leadership with you. I'll talk about management. I'll talk about taxes. I'll talk about planning and forecasting. I'll talk about everything with you, because I've done it all. So if you need that, just go to my website at www.lodge-co.com and spend 60 minutes with me, and let's talk about some of the things that you are thinking about and you just need to get a second opinion. I'm here for that, and I love doing it. I really love doing it. So listen, 2020 is about planning. 2021 is about execution and making sure you have a plan. If you don't have a plan, you're not going anywhere. That's just the facts. Is there anything else I need to tell you? Yeah, go to my website, book a 60-minute consultation, and you'll also notice I've got 3 books there for sale. Buy one, put it in some stocking stuffers, do whatever you need to do. But let's really think about how we operate our businesses, because this is a time where it's not normal business as usual. This is a time where we have to be conservative. Even though you're liberal, financially you're conservative. And you need to begin working on 2020, ending of 2020, and planning for 2021. Write it down and get it done. That's how it's done. If you have any questions or comments, just send me a text at 818-252-5682, 818-252-5682. If you want to know what I do in my day job, go to www.lodge-co.com. This is Mike Lodge. I'll talk with you soon. Everyone, have a great day and God bless. Bye-bye. This podcast is produced by Michael Lodge, fully focused on content. God bless. Bye-bye.